Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Alan Friesen here. I have done some research that I think might be of value for you. I shared this with we have a group at the Chamber of Commerce on the HR Policy Committee, I think it's called. And basically we get together and look at things that might be of value for employers, how they help assist their employees, how they manage their employees, how they deal with all the legislative and those kind of challenges that you have to face as small business owners. Small business is a tough gig, right? And so basically what our role is to try and research these things and then come up with some solutions to them, or suggestions, or at least heads up to let people know that this could be a problem, or this could be a challenge coming up. So Chamber HR Committee, Dave Hazley chairs that committee. I presented this to our little committee, and then I thought I would share it with you. Maybe it's of value. There are a number of programs now that allow people to access medical care directly from their cell phone. And there's different models for that. There's Akira, there's Maple, there's Virtual, there's Dialogue. There's one in BC called Babylon through TELUS Health. And then that now is becoming, is only in BC, but now it's going to come to the rest of Canada. So there's these different programs that exist. So all of them, they have some differences, but all of them, basically, if you're a person who needs medical care, instead of you dialing up and making an appointment with a doctor and then go and seeing the doctor in, 3 hours or 3 days or 10 days or whatever the period of time, you just basically connect, and right away you're talking to a medical professional. Medical professional, or some use more of an AI kind of a process where they ask you a number of questions, and this one leads you to these solutions, and that answer leads you to those solutions. So they have different models. Some that where you're going to have a nurse practitioner, some where you're actually going to access a doctor, some where you pay a monthly subscription fee, others where it's free to be a member, but you pay every time you use the service. So that's kind of how they work. And most of them have the ability to access video. So you have an audio conversation, but you also can have a video conversation as well. And further, you could videotape. I got a rash here. So you take a videotape or a picture of your, the concern, the ailment that you have, and then they can diagnose it. All of them, it appears, will be able to call in a prescription for you, unless it's a controlled substance, an opioid type thing. And so it's basically a way to have access to a medical professional in your pocket. Pick it up. I want to chat. Here's my concern. Somebody comes up and chats with you, and then helps you come to a solution on what you're going to, how to help you improve your health, get your health back. So it's kind of questionable as to who needs this and who wants this. I think there's probably, like, I have a doctor and I can call him up and make an appointment and go see him. But I think there's a lot of people that don't have doctors, and some that are in rural areas where it's a real challenge to find a doctor. As an example, one of the people on our committee, her name is Ashley Frank. One of her sites that she manages is in a very small rural community, like 200 people. So there's no doctors there. So that way, they can get some access to some medical support, help, advice, just through their cell phone, right? So that's one application, is when you're in a rural area. The others are more where, perhaps you're rural and your job commitments don't really allow you to make appointments, that kind of a thing. So just to kind of give you an idea as to how this works, I tried it. I tried Maple. So I've subscribed for Maple, and then Maple is you actually access a real doctor. Well, no, I shouldn't say real doctor. You access a doctor instead of a nurse practitioner, is what I'm trying to say. So a doctor certainly has a little bit more training than what a nurse practitioner, but a nurse practitioners are super valuable, and especially in some communities, they are the only health professionals in those communities. So I access Maple. free subscription, signed on with it. And then when I went and I tried it, like I wanted to see how it worked. So I tried it on the weekend. And when I tried it on the weekend, it's a higher fee. It's $79, where during the week it's $49. A lot of these other ones, there is no fee to use it, but you pay a monthly subscription fee for it. So Maple is different. Maple, you don't pay to have the access, but you do pay when you use that access. So Maple, I went and it was a Sunday afternoon and I just wanted to try it out. So I paid my $79 and a very nice gentleman came on, a doctor who's an emergency room doctor in Edmonton. And so he comes on and he asked me what I'm calling about. And we had a great conversation. He was very knowledgeable, very personable, and it wasn't like rushed in any way. We probably talked for an hour. And then I also asked him from the provider side of things, you know, how that works. And he had a number like 650, if I recall correctly, consults that he had done. And then these consults were, he always chooses whether he wants to do it or not. So it's kind of like where they have a network of providers on call and they get the request that, hey, somebody wants to talk to you, here's their concern, and then they either sign on or they don't sign on. So in this case, he signed on. We had a nice chat. He's an extreme skier type guy and an extreme rock climber type guy, very fit man, very personable. So we had a really nice chat. He could have written me a prescription. In the end, I didn't do that. It was basically just because I had a persistent cough. And I know why I have a persistent cough is because I've been using my voice a lot and singing a lot, actually. So anyways, so that's how it works. And so the applications are in a remote area. That makes sense. He said he has a lot of people from Cold Lake, that provider, that doctor, said he had a lot of people from Cold Lake that he serves because Cold Lake, remote community, difficult to get medical care, etc. So that's how that works. Now, it could be, though, you might have access to a doctor and it may be just a little bit easier and more in keeping with how people like to access services now. So Chris Broughton, as an example, he's on our committee, he's with Upsourced HR. And, you know, Chris was saying, all right, well, this could just be a generational thing that people now, if you're, 25 years old and you got your cell phone in your pocket and it does everything else for you, why would you need anything else? Why would you go to a clinic or why would you go to emergency and wait? And I know the topic of the Alberta Health line where you call came up, but if you've ever used that, basically the process is pretty similar every time everybody I talk to about it. If it's anything at all questionable, they're going to end up saying go to emergency. So you've not wasted. You spent a half hour talking to somebody about symptoms, and then when they say you have to go to emergency, well, you go to emergency and you start all over with it, right? So it's a little bit different. And of course, over the phone on the Alberta Health Support line, they don't prescribe anything for you or anything like that, whereas with these other services, they do. So it's just a little bit different tool, and it may have application for you or for your employee group if they're of a younger demographic and don't have relationships with the medical system, then it might be a good tool to use for that purpose. If you need any more information about it, I kept some of my research, and I can certainly share that with you if you want. Ask me a specific question. I'll give you the answer that I know. I hope this is of value to you. Have a great day and keep well. Thank you much.